All right, everybody, we are in the draft here. It's game 2 between the Rams and Predictive Gaming Nemesis. A shocking result in game 1 as Predictive Gaming Nemesis took it in pretty convincing fashion. An unsurprising result here in draft 2 as Kale, the immediate ban, RareAdam.
Yes, I am not surprised in the slightest. I mean, the Graves is going to be banned out as well. I just think that they weren't prepared. They weren't prepared for any of those picks, apparently. They're just banning out.
Ban the top side.
Yeah, just ban it.
Yeah, see ya.
Ooh.
Then the Rams are going to first pick a Zach. Okay. They're not messing around. This is clearly has to be a pocket pick.
Yeah, Dissipate pulling out the Zach. I mean, BTL's actually been sort of a safe haven for Zach players a lot in the last little bit. But, you know, you ban out the picks from last game and you kind of forget about what happens on the op.gg and Mute. I want to say it's like a Shaco one trick, just with how much they've played this champion and how confident they are on it. And Zach does not match up well into Shaco. This is a tough one already here. WCU Rams may be a little too headstrong after picking up that Zach first.
I was like so excited to get into this game, and then I saw there was a Shaco. I have to be honest with you.
Have you heard my Shaco joke before?
No, I haven't. Please tell me.
What month was Shaco born in?
I don't know.
March.
So bad. Oh, that's actually really good. Oh man, that's super good. All right, I like that. I hate it a lot less now. I can't wait to tell my Shaco one trick buddy. Thrush and Aphelios the pickups here for the Rams, and this is a pretty bold pickup, I have to say, for the side of Asian Demon, because Thrush and a Shaco is not easy. And then you're playing against a Braum, which kind of stinks. And now you're playing against an Ezreal. So I don't know if Asian Demon had any plans to hook any champions this game and have it be profitable. But if they did, they might want to cancel those plans.
I mean, one of the main reasons why Aphelios Thresh works, though, is just because of the Lantern in a lot of ways. Aphelios is able to play a lot more aggressively than they normally would be able to, and Thresh can just throw the Lantern and be sort of like an enchanter in a lot of ways by just giving the shield, providing that peel away with the Lantern in a lot of ways. So it's an interesting playstyle, but it might be the one that is picked here because you've got a Braum, you've got an Ezreal, and it's not going to mean a lot of great things for laning for Aphelios, so they're going to have to be incredibly careful, and especially when you've got a Zac in the jungle who can't gank before level 4 realistically, and actually gets a lot of their ganks, you know, kind of just squashed by the Shaco box, the Vex Sphere, the Braum ultimate now. This is going to be an uphill battle for WC Rams.
This is starting to become a potential draft gap here.
Oh,
I got to be honest with you. I don't really like throwing that around too much because, you know, got to play the games and stuff like that. But I mean, the draft out of Predictive Gaming Nemesis, I mean, I don't like the Shaco. It doesn't really slot in too well into team compositions, but the rest of it is really good.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how the solo lanes play out here for Predictive Gaming Nemesis, because last game I think they played up to standards. I want to say they overperformed in a lot of ways, and normally the Shen's going to be able to go toe-to-toe with a Kale at least before level 6, but we didn't see that last game. Now, though, the set comes through for Kingfisher. This is sort of their pocket pick as well in the top lane, and I want to see what Pafu has up their sleeve. We've seen the Akali before come through from Pafu. Maybe we see another Bruiser, something along those lines. Curious how these solo lanes end up playing out. Oh, never mind. We're just going to get for the team. Zach is not going to have fun this game.
No, this game Zach is not allowed to play. Malphite is the final lock-in here. In team compositions, I still like Predictive Gaming's team composition. You've got some hard engage out of the Malphite. It's going to deal a heck of a lot of damage. Aphelios is going to have a hard time dealing damage to it. The only champion that's really going to be dealing damage to this Malphite is this Ahri, which means he's going to be in fights for quite some time.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult to actually get your damage across because there's a Malphite, there's a Braum. there's a lot of dive potential and a lot of peel back potential from Predictive Gaming, and they sort of have a 5-tool comp in a lot of ways here. They've got, the potential to fake people out with the Shaco. You've got early game with the Shaco as well. You've got early game even with the Ezreal in a lot of ways with the Braum. You've got some late game scaling as well. Ezreal does quite well. Vex does really well the later the game goes as well. And in terms of fighting, you can prevent fights. You can take fights on your own terms. You have great peel already. It's going to be an uphill battle for the WCU Rams to try and get back into this one realistically. And as you said, I don't like using the term draft gap much either, but I just have to say straight up, it is a draft gap.
Yeah, that being said, when you take a look at the Rams composition, discounting what Predictive Gaming does, this is a fine composition. This is a composition that can work in a vacuum. You've got the pick from Ahri and Thresh. Set's able to set some of the things up, and if Set throws a Malphite into his team, that's not great, but it is going to deal a heck of a lot of damage.
Yeah, and in a vacuum, WCU Rams don't have a bad comp. In a vacuum. And I think that's the main thing, is that when you look at it against the likes of Malphite and Shaco, this Vex as well, it's not always going to be easy to find your engages. It's really going to be predicated on how well Smurf does, though, in terms of saving those spheres for when the Zac jumps in, when the Set jumps in as well, and if they're able to punish this Ahri effectively, because please don't run it. They are a very talented mid laner. We've seen some great performances out of them, and if they're able to pilot this Ahri to a T and able to get just a couple of kills in this early game, it can start to go off the rails for the side of Predictive Gaming, because Ahri is such a hard champion to shut down the later this game goes.
And really, that's going to be on Mute as well to be able to help shut down this Ahri, because no mobility until level 6 does mean that they are primed for ganks. And what's one thing that Shaco loves doing? It is ganking. When you pick a champion like Shaco in a team composition like this, you really need to make your mark on the game. Mute had a pretty solid game on Morgana. I'll say they had a damn good game, but it needs to be that much better on the Shaco. You need to put your fingerprints all over this game if you're going to make this pick and, kind of make your team composition a little bit more discordant,
Yeah, I think that especially, looking at the sums right now from Shaco, they have Cleanse alongside the Smite. That would be really interesting, because then the only way that you really kill the Shaco, which is with a Charm or a Hook, is just taken off the table. You have a one-time use sort of QSS to just continue your engages. It's interesting angle to be looking at. Normally you see the Ignite come through for more kill threat, but I think you've already got more than enough kill threat. As I say that, they start to troll me with their sums, and they all hover Smite as well. But regardless, if it is Smite Cleanse here, Mute's going to be incredibly safe. And it's going to be really hard to take them down, especially when you look at the traditional pick tools, which is Ahri, Charm, as well as Thresh Hook.
Well, while the Cleanse is nice for those, doesn't mean you lose out on a lot of power. Don't have that Ignite. And it does mean that you're not really going to be able to deal as much damage in these bottom lane ganks or these top lane ganks. And really, the only place we're going to have an adequate amount of damage is toward this Vex. So, if that is what Mute elects to go...
Ignite. Switch to Ignite.
Okay, yeah. Switch to Ignite. Good. I think that is probably a wise move, to be honest with you, because they were just lacking damage elsewhere. So, you need to make sure that if you're going to make a gank happen, that it results in a kill or an assist. And the Ignite's going to help that for these lanes that don't deal nearly as much damage.
Yes, and I think that especially when you've got some lower damage early game lanes, even with the Ezreal, like, if they are not able to land their Qs and they're just using auto attacks, it's low damage. If the Vex isn't able to land their damage down either, it's low damage. Mute's going to need some self-sufficient ganking potential as well, and especially into Set, who's going to have that grit shield as well. Ahri, who has some ways around it with the Charm. You need to make sure that you have that extra sort of kill threat with the Ignite coming through. But honestly, Predictive Gaming, they've set themselves up for success here in this draft, and if they can have, 80-90% of the performance that they had in game 1, they're going to be in good shape.
We'll see if the Rams have a plan for this devious Shaco, as we are in the spectator delay right now. Once the spectator delay ends in about 2 minutes or so, We will give to you all the game action here for game 2 of the Rams versus Predictive Gaming. The Rams trying to force the game 3, while Predictive Gaming trying to get their first series win here in the last week of the season. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are here for the second game of this series between Predictive Gaming Nemesis and the WCU Rams. This time, Predictive Gaming will be on the red side, where the Rams are on the blue side. And we saw some level 1 fireworks last game. Let's see if we see some more, Adam. Everybody gravitating toward the stop side.
Yeah, and the box just going to try and prevent the, going up through the Raptors there, but might not be prepared for the wraparound here. This is spotted out.
Oh no, here we go. Big fight going on. Huge fears. Kingfisher is going to go down. First blood over to the Braum. Now Dissipate is in blob form. Palfu still surviving. Melon taking a lot of damage, but Mute is going to smite and get credit for the kill. And now Smurf once more, but is taking a lot of damage and has to flash away. Ahata attack the box, and a big fear goes off, and the Rams will get nothing. 2 kills for Predictive Gaming Nemesis. So nice they did it twice.
Oh my goodness. Don't invade a Braum ever, please. And you just paid the price there. Like, yes, you're going to have to burn a whole bunch of summoners if you're the side of Predictive Nemesis here, but these level 1 fights have just gone so well for them. You've got to be so careful about where you're taking these fights, and this is already a little bit of a hole for WCU Rams, because we talked about how Ari needs to be the one to snowball, but, there's already 2 kills against your team there, and one of those is on the Shaco.
And they need to make sure this game does not get away from them, because you can really tilt yourself too much mentally if a game starts out this way, and you can really just put yourself out of it by doing so. Already down in the series 1-0, giving a game to a team that had not won any games prior. Now looking for a match win, and they have that fire under them. They have all the ammunition right now.
Oh, Mute's in mid lane, though. Level 2 gank.
Oh, see you later, buddy. The Ignite goes down. Mute with the level 2 gank, picking up the kill. You see the blue question mark ping right on top of the Ari, and things might be falling apart for the Rams early.
Yeah, and Mute's Shaco has been incredibly impactful, and it's sort of fallen into the old narrative that we were talking about, starts to fall off as the game goes on, not as impactful in the later stages, but, when you're 2-0-1, you can just snowball a game of Shaco off of that. You have the invisibility, you have some lanes that don't have summoners still, no flash on Ahata, that's going to be your next angle. I think you have to look towards this bottom side if you're the Shaco. Try and find a kill, and when you've got such a strong setup in Melon's Winter Bite there, and you have the Halo Blades to follow up, Mute should just go right bot lane as quickly as possible and try and find a kill into this Aphelios.
Especially since this wave is pretty much going to stay right where it is, or it's going to push into Predictive Gaming depending on what they want to do. It looks like they're totally content to let it push, clearly setting up for some sort of gank. See the pings going down into the river, so it does look like Mute might want to take the Scuttle Crab first. But listen, it could be free real estate in the bottom lane.
I think that it's going to be. Look, Mute's just walking through.
Here he comes. He's level 4 now. They're going to engage onto Asian Demon. Huge 3-man flay. Follow it up with a double root. And all of a sudden, Melon taking a lot of damage on the way out here. Well played by Asian Demon, and Ahata forcing the flash out of the Thresh, though. So it was not without a cost.
And Dissipate's been able to full clear their jungle on the Zac, so they're going to be feeling good about potentially looking for a gank on this top side of the map. Now, Pafu needs to be careful. They have a flash.
Hey, listen, he's got a minion wave, and he thinks that he's got everything, but Kingfisher is not afraid. Now Pafu should be afraid. Dissipate, though, will try to land that knockup. It was a good flash by Pafu, so the Malphite will have to settle to waddle away.
Yeah, and actually really good play from WCU to find at least an advantage on the top side, burning the flash from Pafu, but on the bot side now, neither member has their flash up for the next couple of minutes here. Mute needs to try and just repeat gank down to that bot side, as Dissipate's doing that on the top.
Pafu could be in a lot of trouble here. He no longer has a flash. He's been knocked up, and man, you ever punch a rock that hard before? It's a kill for the set.
Yeah, punching Dwayne there, just like how Chris Rock got slapped. I mean, this Rock got slapped as well.
Listen, keep Pafu's name out your mouth.
Poor Pafu. Great performance in game 1, but now getting memed for playing Malphite and getting slapped.
Listen, that play was anything but rock solid for Pafu. Needs to play a little bit more careful this time around. Teleports immediately back up. And now turnabout is fair play, as Mute has decided to forsake the Krugs and potentially try to make a play up here. Spay holding the mid wave for please don't run it, as they're running it down the mid lane in a good way, trying to get to the minions.
And I think, honestly, please don't run it here. Able to sort of stabilize a little bit. I think Ahri has a lot more agency to make their own plays happen compared to the Veigar. A lot of the times at Veigar, you need to try and hope that they walk into the cage, and that's how your plays are made. But Please Don't Run has more agency at level 6 to move around the map, roam down bot lane, maybe find a kill on someone if they can, but it's still a little bit of a rough situation. WCU have been able to claw it back a little bit just by virtue of their lanes being a little bit further ahead, specifically the set here, up 10 CS and a kill, but really curious to see what the next step is for these two teams, because Predictive Gaming, we talked about their early game. We have a sample size of 1 where they've been able to translate the early game lead into a late game lead, and we have a sample size of 6 or 7 games where an early game lead didn't lead to such. So it's hard to argue against the stats in that situation. As Mute, you're on the ward.
I don't think he knows that. He might have found out. Who knows? Deductive reasoning is very strong in League of Legends. So far, the game has slowed down quite a bit. I expected with Mute in the jungle on the Shaco for this game to be driven at a sports car-like pace. But so far, the rest of the side of the Rams have done well to stem the bleeding early.
They're just sort of vibing now, waiting to strike. And with Mute now completing those tier 2 boots, maybe might be looking for some ganks again now, but a lot of the summoners are back up. I mean, Asian Damon's Flash not available. That's really the only key summoner that's not available in case they get engaged on. It has to be a repeat gank on this bottom side of the map, but even then, Mute going to try and full clear. Maybe looking for the clone to come through and make some trickery happen there.
You have to start doing something. You can't really allow the Rams to get comfortable here. You really want to keep your foot on the gas pedal. All these car puns, man. I'm not even a car guy.
Just all gas, no brakes for Mute. That's what we expected, but there has been a decent use of the brake pedal. Oh boy.
Well, now he's certainly hitting the gas. Kingfisher doing a lot of damage, and now here it comes. Oh, that fear does not trigger quite yet, and Kingfisher's going to survive. Mute in a lot of trouble as well. Oh. A well-timed gank by Dissipate. 2 kills for the jungler on the side of the Rams. Gets a big shutdown, and all of a sudden, the Rams have themselves a small lead.
And the Rams, realistically, now just need to know for the future never to take a play at level 1, because they've clawed this one back already for themselves. If it wasn't for that level 1, they'd have an even bigger lead. And the Aphelios Thresh has not been punished despite the early use of the flash from Ahada. And I think as this game progresses as well, Ahada's going to get some really nice scaling and use out of this Aphelios. So, as we mentioned, the Shaco specifically, very snowbally pick, and if you're not able to get off the ground and running, Shaco kind of just falls off falls off a cliff at the end. Got to get your all-wheel drive on if you're this Shaco to try and find as many ganks as possible everywhere on this map.
He tried up in the top lane, and he failed up in the top lane. There's just so much damage done by that set. It was just good usage of the Haymaker. Just doing so much true damage. And now, if you're Mute, you're Igniteless right now, so you need to pick a lane that certainly has some damage to it. Ahri is pretty much ungankable at this point. Where else do you go from here?
I mean, the option was bot lane when there was no flash on Asian Damon, but now it's a little bit harder because there's the cleanse available for Ahada again. You've got the lantern to get yourself out. You've got some decent safety as well, and realistically, it just needs to be set up by the Braum in a lot of ways. I think Shaco and Braum need to start to pair up, look for some plays to try and get some ganks off, but Mute going mid.
Yeah, Mute is here, however. The Ahri ultimate will be able to get away a nice Spirit Rush, but that is a long cooldown and an important one going down, so we'll see if Mute goes back for the return gank. It's not something they've done all too much this game, as we were just glossing over that a little bit.
Yeah, the mid game needs to be a little bit more proactive if you're playing with the Shaco, because you can't just sit back and let it scale up, because Shaco doesn't scale. Shaco's a champion that you'll just get blown up if you get into the later stages. One charm at level 11 from this Ahri, and it's going to be your fate sealed for you. So I want to see Mute still try and push forward, because this is what we've seen out of the Shaco thus far in the BTL. It's been active in the early game, nothing in the mid game, lose the game. And you can't do that if you're playing Shaco.
No, you got to be really taking control of the early game, and the late game is where you're not shining as much, and that's where the Vex and the Ezreal come in. But just not taking control of the early game like we expected. Now here we go. Finally, I'm going to start trying to take control of this early game as Infernal Drake has been started, and it looks like it will go down shortly. It will be taken. Hook landed onto Mute. It was the real Mute, and they decided not to go in on that one because, for obvious reasons. As now Ahata has found Killua, and Killua taking a little bit of damage for that one. Over the wall on top of Smurf. Big knock-up, and now Smurf could be in a lot of trouble. The Flash is going to go down. Flash for Flash, and Please Don't Run It gets credit for that kill. And the Rams are starting to tilt this game into their favor. Here comes Mute. Knock up onto Ahata. Dark Passage is there. Ahata should be able to just walk out of this without any further issue. So the ganks are not happening for Predictive Gaming, but for the Rams, they are certainly paying off. Dissipate, after that early death, has played a pretty spotless game so far.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, the level 1 was just the kind of undoing for WCU Rams, and basically since then they've had themselves a really clean game. You know, now their goalie's up to 2,000 gold, and it's not off of, you know, the kills or anything. It's more so just off of the PvEing here. You can see topside 30 CS up almost now. In the jungle, Zach's been able to pick up some of these neutrals as well. In bot lane, there's a slight CS lead for the Aphelios as well, who's kept their record spotless. So they're pretty even on gold at this point. Dissipate, though, going to have to back off that Rift Herald. Will end up being secured. They're still a little bit scared of this Shaco. Or is this fight over yet?
Please don't run it. Does so much damage right now. Shaco, I think he's just going to go down anyway. Please Don't Run It, leading a nice two-man knock-up. And getting very low is Kingfisher. No, he is going to be able to find the kill to Pafu. And now Smurf falls as well. They were not able to find the Zac. It's a 3-for-0 for the Rams, as Please Don't Run It did a heck of a lot of damage. The Malphite Ultimate not quite enough to make anything happen. And this game is starting to slip away from Predictive Gaming.
It's slipping away in substantially, I want to say. It's 3,500 gold in the lead for WCU Rams, and this is more towards what we were expecting here. You know, the Aphelios, the Thresh, have been able to stay incredibly safe on this bottom side. Thresh, I think, has thrown like 2 hooks this entire game, but hasn't had to. You know, it's just about keeping Ahata safe. Aphelios is one of those champions that scales so well at 2-3 items into the game, so just got to keep that in mind, because we all know what Mr. 200 Years can do if they get a little bit too much gold in their inventory. And realistically, the only tank that you've got to deal with this game, like true tank, is Malphite in terms of that, and maybe the Braum ultimate you got to be or the Braum shield, sorry, you have to be mindful of if you're the Aphelios. But other than that, you can shred through a Shaco really easily. 80 carries can get the upper hand on Assassins as the game progresses.
The Rift Herald in that earlier fight went up to Kingfisher, who is now 3-1-2 and has themselves a Hull Breaker, which will be problematic for Paufu up here, as the Rift Herald has now gone down, so there'll at least be some gold in the pocket before the turret platings expire. Kingfisher will get credit for those. 320 more gold over to the already strong set.
Yeah, and I think if we look at this set in a vacuum, it's been the X factor thus far. We talked about how it needs to be maybe Ari coming through, but Set's done a great job of just keeping this Malphite absolutely pointless in this game. And oh my goodness, mid lane.
Well timed. Deceived there by Mute, but Please Don't Run It is able to just Spirit Rush out of there. They still had 2 more charges and just did not focus on this mid lane enough. Ooh. And now the focus is going the other way, as it looks like Please Don't Run It will be able to pick up a kill. They will fall to Mute, so it's a big shutdown going over to the Shaco. However, I think Dissipate is able to win this fight. Will hit the wrong one, so does get feared, but flashing after the Shaco. Shaco trying to make the moves, but he has been spotted by the pink ward. Here comes Dissipate, the giant blob crushing the clown. 3 kills for this jungler. An engagement here in the bot lane. It was a good play onto the Ezreal, who shifts in. And Ahata whiffs the ultimate and is now getting pretty low. This could be a fight that Killua and Melon could take, but here comes Dissipate. Huge damage coming out of the Zac, forcing the flash out of Melon. And this Zac is just all over the map right now. You ever just die to Silly Putty?
Yeah, well, I'm usually the one playing the Silly Putty, Zac. Great champion and really strong right now as well. 4-1-6, 100% kill participation. But yeah, Dissipate definitely has played up to par, and we talked about how there's ways to prevent the Zac from jumping in. The side of WCU, side of Predictive Gaming, there we go, have not been able to use them to the greatest effect. They haven't been able to put that box down in time when the Zac is jumping in. They haven't been able to use that Vex Sphere. They haven't really been able to get Malphite or Braum in a situation where they can ult in time for the Zac jump to be canceled out. So realistically, they've had the world as their oyster in a lot of ways, and now Dissipate baiting this dragon. This might be an ugly fight.
Let's see what happens here. Mute, Melon, Killua in the area. Please don't run. It's a huge charm. Oh my god!
From the top rope.
Absolutely bursted. Listen, I know some people have a fear of clowns, but that's no reason to beat up the clowns, man. You can't be doing that, Kingfisher. That is illegal in many states. You cannot punch clowns like that. But it's not illegal on Summoner's Rift. There's an 11th kill for the side of the Rams and 16 minutes in. They've cracked open almost a 6,000 gold lead for themselves, and the game is continuing to go their way.
Oh yeah, mid lane though. More fighting.
Oh man, they're going to find another knockup. There's a flash, but it just doesn't matter. Dissipate is just clobbering everybody. 5-1-6, and Mute is just powerless to stop him.
And I mean, we talked about the power that Mute has to stop him, and once again, just not coming through. Here comes almost a good play from Melon there. The Gale Force, I think, was a little bit unnecessary, but yeah, Ahata's just been able to sort of freeze the game for themselves there. You know, up 15 CS, feeling perfectly fine, and it's just, there's really just no answers coming through from Predictive Gaming this game. They've sort of fallen into their old trap where they get a really nice proactive play early and then just don't do anything afterwards.
Yeah, this is the old Predictive Gaming, unfortunately. They got their early lead and they weren't too fond of it. But realistically, there was a couple of things they could have done that they didn't do, and just a couple of plays that did not go their way. And it looks like there'll be another play that's not going to go their way, as the Malphite is going to use the Unstoppable Force to find a way out. So, not all bad, but a large cooldown is now gone. Shaco has gotten behind enemy lines thanks to the Hex Gates, which is a pretty nifty thing to do. Here comes the Thresh Lantern. Please don't run. It doesn't want any part of that fight. Somewhat surprising, but, you know, considering the fact they're up so far, you would figure they would push the advantage, but playing it safe is also a fine option.
You can see Kingfisher doesn't care about Pafu, just going to keep splitting open the map and sort of doing the opposite situation of what happened last game, where Kingfisher was playing Nishen. Pafu now forced on the tank against the Bruiser or the split pusher here, and Kingfisher will just keep punching away at this tower. Has no fear of this Malphite, because what is the Malphite going to do? The Malphite's just the bungus here, as in your words specifically. Yeah, it was just sitting there existing and trying to like take up space, and Set has 2 items, just going to keep punching.
Yeah, and eventually the Malphite's just going to run out of mana, so you can poke all you want, but Set's health is going to regen faster than your mana, and Bungus Man always wins. Missed hook. Killua does have to shift away. Melon trying to jump to a minion, but a nice 3-man knockup. They're going to get knocked up themselves. Flash Flay should be enough. Dissipate finding kill number 6, and a huge hook by Asian Demon. Give him kill number 7. For the slimy green man, and now in a lot of trouble here. Mute just gets 1 rotation. Wave the white flag here, man. Things are not going well. Smurf trying to find a kill and is unable to. A well-timed dark passage, and nothing that Predictive Gaming is doing is going right for them. It is all Rams right now.
It's all gone wrong here. It's, you know, Predictive Gaming, they came out of the gate with a great level 1 play. They got, you know, the first gank off extremely well as well, but it's falling apart at the seams here. This Ari just one-shots the Shaco there. That should never happen if the Shaco gets the jump on you, but please don't run. Lands everything in their kit, and that bottom lane fight there, Asian Demon just showing why the Thresh is still a pick to be contested. Not really for the hook. Like, the hook was great to get onto Killua Gon at the end there, but Flash Play to knock the Braum back to secure the first kill of that. You land the hook, and then afterwards you use that dark passage to get the Ari out of there. Thresh deserves an Oscar for that performance because it just worked out so well.
Let me tell you, if that's man, God, I've got nothing to say other than I don't know why you made the Oscar reference. I kind of want to slap you for that one, but I won't, because then I won't be able to cast for BTL again. Maybe for 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
Ahata getting in a lot of trouble here, will fall, so that is their first death of the game, so at least you get something back if you're Predictive Gaming Nemesis. However, this Ezreal is not long for this world. The True Shot Barrage not getting off there. Please don't run it, finding kill number 5. And all of the kills are localized on the top side of the map for the Rams. 4 in the top lane, 5 in the mid lane, 7 in the jungle. And Predictive Gaming has no answer.
Borf. That's the
breaking it down.
name. Yeah.
He's busting it down Rockshul style.
Yeah. Just having fun, but Rift Herald is going to be popped as well. Pafu is not enjoying the current state of affairs on this top side of the map. Kingfisher has just been able to really control the pace, and this is what we expected of Kingfisher in a lot of games. It's been Kingfisher and Ahada or Kalichi if they're playing, and please don't run it to really run the show for the side of WCU, but oh my goodness, here comes the 1v2.
Good shift by the Ezreal, and Kingfisher could be in a lot of trouble, but man, 632 true damage is hard to deal with. Kingfisher with a nice flash, but he still got hit by the Vex ultimate. He will fall, but on the bottom side, it'll be a second dragon of the game here going to the Rams. They're going to get that Hextech Drake. It's the second Hextech soul that we've seen on the map, actually. Kind of forgot to mention that last game, as nobody really had to use the gates.
Yeah, it's kind of turned around in a lot of ways, unfortunately for the Set there, but Set able to keep themselves relevant in that play. Dissipate, though, looking for the play.
Uh-oh, trying for a knock-up here. Does not land. Please don't run it. Misses the charm. Mid-turret going down, so more gold. The rich get richer for the Rams here. And Predictive Gaming, although they scale fairly well, it feels like they're running out of time. Good shift on the flash, and now the engagement on to Mute and the Braum. Please don't run, it's going to get one. Mute trying desperately to run away, gets pulled back just a little bit. Hit by the Aphelios ultimate.
Oh my goodness!
Also hit the Ezreal because he was standing too close. It is a double kill from long range for this Aphelios. First 2 kills of the game. And nothing more than you can say that if you mess with the Rams, you get the horns.
It was a rough situation there because Ahada, just great ultimate to be able to land there. Was able to, I believe, get the Chakram, the turret shot, to land onto the Shaco there, the real Shaco one. Able to land that root and then use the Calibrum ultimate to follow up with the last little bit of damage to find the double kill. But once again, very early Baron going to be taken by this team on blue side. But of course, it is the other way around here. WCU Rams have been on fire this game after that shady level 1, but fight might be erupting. Oh boy.
Uh-oh, they're going to engage onto the Zac here. He still has his blobs because he hasn't died in a very long time, but you know who has died recently? It's powerful.
Kingfisher TP.
He's going to survive. Here comes Kingfisher. Big shutdown coming through. Huge Q out of the Ahri. Dissipate is legendary. There are many blue health bars and not a whole lot of red health bars. Double kill for the Ahri. Make it a triple kill, actually, and it is a 4-for-1 as the last one standing, the Ezreal, just decided to head to the bot lane to farm up a little bit. Probably the wisest decision as the gold lead swells to 11 grand here near the 24-minute mark.
Oh, it's getting really rough for Predictive Gaming, and this is a situation they're more familiar with in this series. And unfortunately, WCU Rams are starting to get their footing under it, and I think maybe game 1 just shaking off a little bit of the draft nerves a little bit. Didn't have the greatest time, and we expected this to be a Predictive Gaming just draft gap here, but once again, WCU Rams just rewriting the history books there, saying, you know what, you can have the better draft. We are going to execute on our comp better, and please don't run it, I think, with the comeback player of the year if we were to provide it between the 2 games. 24 stacks on that Magi, 9, 2, and 7 on this Ahri. It's night and day compared to game 1, and their stack number 20. Oh, I caster cursed it.
Yeah, I did in the last fight too. Don't worry about it. It happens sometimes. You and I have been around the block enough to know that we've done it multiple times. I'm sure. That being said, it's impressive to see how much damage that was dealt to the Braum, even with his shield up, and really, it's also impressive how much damage that shield mitigates.
Oh yeah, the shield can do a lot. The shield is busted. I mean, that's what makes Braum in a lot of ways. So curious to see if that will translate into anything. But of course, this Braum hasn't really been able to have as much impact as I think we would have liked it to see. It's been the saving grace for Kilowoggon more than once, and for the rest of the team more than once as well, but Melon hasn't really had the sort of aggressive play that sometimes we can see Braums come through with. The best Braums are able to make this purely disengaged champion an engaged champion by jumping in, dropping down that glacial fissure, and starting off fights, but when you're down 11,000 gold, almost 12,000 gold now, that's probably the worst thing you could do. So you're sort of just missing half of the champion's identity is that way.
Who needs a glacial fissure when you have a kingfisher as he's trying to go in deep here? Big true damage going down onto the Vex. The Vex is going to fall. Mute trying to get closer. Puts down a box, but it gets taken out by Dissipate. He just does so much damage. Kingfisher trying to turn the fight around here. Lands the Stride Breaker. Dissipate is legendary. Double Fear goes off. But I don't think anybody cares. 9 kills on the Zac. A near flawless game. 9-1-2. Ahata and Asian Demon pushing on the mid lane here. The Nexus, I'm sorry, not the Nexus. It's going to be going down soon. The bottom inhibitor has fallen. The middle inhibitor is also under siege. It is a 5v3 currently, and you can see that Palfu is just dancing around because there's not much more that you can do. The hook lands onto the Braum here. Big Flay. Ezreal's True Shot Barrage doesn't do a heck of a lot. Ahata lands the root. Is there going to be a follow-up with the Charm? Don't even need it. Please don't run it. Doing that so much damage at this point in the game. Palfu could be in trouble now as they are the next target in the middle of 5 members of the Rams, and they are going to fall. It's Mute. It's Smurf. Never mind. It's just Mute because Smurf got hooked and sent back into the Shadow Realm. The Nexus will fall, and the Rams will come back and take game 2, and we got a series. We will head to a game 3.
And honestly, really, really well played from the side of WCU Rams to kind of get back into the right mental space in a lot of ways. It can be incredibly difficult to find your way back after losing game 1, especially in as destructive of a way it was. Their comp was absolutely ruined by what the side of Predictive Gaming were able to pull out with that Kale, with the Morgana jungle as well. So I think in a lot of ways for them to be able to bounce back shows their resolve. And for both of these teams, you know, it's all about just sending a message to the other team in a lot of ways, as well as the other teams that are looking in the gauntlet. And WC Rams, they want to try and get this victory for themselves because it could mean that they afford themselves one less game in the gauntlet. So really, really curious to see how the rest of this series turns out, at least game 3, because we've had 2 fantastic games from both of these sides. It's just which team will come through. Will it be game 1 Predictive Nemesis, or will it be game 2 WC Rams, right?
Yeah, it's just a coin flip game at this point. It's a tale of 2 teams, a Jekyll and a Hyde. We'll have to see what kind of draft changes are made as we are going to head into the Game 3 draft very shortly. We are going to take a very short break. When we return, we'll see which team reigns supreme in the draft, and then we'll see if it even matters because they got to play the games anyway.